capital of the Islamic state, Madinatul Munawwara. And the Sahaba were in Madinatul Munawwara. Thus, whenever such a problem arose which was undefined by the Qur'an and Sunnah, Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala immediately would gather the Sahaba and call a meeting. And the Sahaba would make ijtihad, and normally they would agree on the solution, and thus the problem was solved. However, after the time of Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala, the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala dispersed to different lands. The lands that were conquered, the Sahaba went to these different lands to convey the message and to guide the masses to the Sirat al-Mustaqim. Now it was difficult for the Khalif to gather the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala majma'een whenever such problem arose which was undefined by the Qur'an and Sunnah. Because some Sahabis in Iraq, some are in Yemen, some are in Damascus, and so forth. So every time a problem arose, it was difficult for the Khalif to call all these Sahaba back and to solve the problem through ijma. Because it was difficult for the Khalif to gather the Sahaba, problems thereafter solved through the unanimous agreement of the Sahaba were less. And because of this, the Sahaba made ijtihad according to the knowledge they possessed. And as a result of this, there was more different opinions. And the reason there were different opinions was, number one, تفاوتهم في فهم ما أجمل من القرآن. The different understandings the Sahaba had regarding things which were mujmal in the Qur'an. For example, the verse of the Qur'an, وَالْمُطَلَّقَاتُ يَتَرَبَّصْنَ بِأَنفُسِهِنَّ ثَلَاثَةَ قُرُوءٍ, talks about the waiting period of a woman who has been divorced. The verse of the Qur'an says those women that have been divorced, they will have to wait for a period of 3 quru. The word mentioned in Arabic is quru. Now this word has two meanings. It could mean hair, menses, and it could mean tuhur, the time of purity of menses. Now some Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala anhu majma'een took the first meaning, and some Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala anhu majma'een took the second meaning. And because they have taken different meanings, the masla is going to be different. And this was a cause of different opinions. Another cause for different opinion was تفاوته في استماع من رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. The different amount of knowledge of the Sunnah each Sahabi possessed. Now not every Sahabi stayed with Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam at all times. And thus, they were not equal in the knowledge of the Sunnah they possessed. It was possible that he who was in Iraq knew something that he who was in Yemen did not know. It was possible that he who was in Yemen knew something that he who was in Damascus didn't know. He who was in Damascus, it's possible that he knew something that he who probably in Mecca was did not know. And because not each Sahabi possessed the entire knowledge of the Sunnah, each Sahabi gave fatwa according to his knowledge of the Sunnah and to the best of his ability. And sometimes this fatwa coincided with the Sunnah, and sometimes this fatwa did not coincide with the Sunnah. And this was a cause of more different opinions with regards to issue of fiqh. And the final cause was تفاوتهم في الاجتهاد حيث لا نقص. The different abilities of the Sahaba to make ijtihad, and the different methods and approaches they used to make ijtihad. Now for example, we've got 5 doctors in this room. Now they're all doctors in the sense that they're all qualified as doctors. But it is possible that though these people are doctors, their mentality is different, their approach is different, and their methods are different. Now the Sahaba were all qualified to make ijtihad. This is why they would make ijtihad. But at the same time, though they were mujtahids, qualified for the work, their abilities were different. And their methods were different. And their approaches were different. And I've just given you an example of this with regards to the free woman marrying a slave. Some Sahaba looked at the masla from one angle and just gave the fatwa according to the way they look at the masla. And some Sahaba look at the masla from a different angle, and thus they gave the fatwa according to the angle they looked at to the masla. So because they had different abilities and different methods and approaches, this was a cause of different opinions with regards to issues of fiqh, issues of jurisprudence. Now at the time of Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala anhu majma'in, I've mentioned that there were 4 sources of legislation: the Qur'an, the Sunnah, the Ijma, and the Qiyas. At the same time, I'd like to mention, though the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala anhu majma'in agreed on making ijtihad, the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala anhu majma'in had 2 different approaches with regards to making ijtihad. There were those Sahaba who favored widespread of ijtihad in matters undefined by the Qur'an and Sunnah, like Sayyidina Umar Farooq, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu ta'ala and Sayyidina Umar Farooq were the ones who carried the flag of this school of thought. And then there were those Sahaba who avoided giving personal interpretations as a general practice. Abdullah ibn Umar, the son of Sayyidina Umar Farooq, was one who carried the flag of this school. Now a man came to Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Umar and questioned him, Anil udhiyya awajibatun hiya, regarding qurbani, regarding giving sacrifice, is it wajib? Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu ta'ala did not make qiyas. He said, ضحى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم والمسلمون. But I know that the Messenger of Allah would give sacrifice, offer sacrifice, and also the Muslims would offer sacrifice. The man repeated the question because he wanted to know the ruling. Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Umar became angry and said, Atakil, do you understand what I'm saying? Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam performed it, and the Muslims performed it. Another man came to him and said, that I've vowed that I will fast on every Wednesday. Now what should I do? The day of Udhiyah also falls on a Wednesday. And in Islam it is haram to keep a fast on that day. What should I do? He didn't make Ijtihad. He just said, look, Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam has ordered to fulfill your vows, and at the same time he has prohibited that you fast on that day. So we have two different approaches with regards to Ijtihad.